So I'm really happy to be joined this morning by the Attorney General of Guyana, Anil Nandlall, our Senior Counsel, and AG Nandlall is here to touch base, to express sentiments that I would say would impact the region, because this is not just, and well, it's via a conference that's going to take place in July, but the conversations that will happen there at the Marriott in Georgetown will have implications for the entire region, and I trust that AG Nandlall and all the legal minds, all luminaries who will join him, we could get some collective movement towards this true Caribbean experience when we talk law and justice. AG, thank you for the time, and thanks for being here this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Give me the dates for the conference that's happening in July in Guyana.
The dates are the 11th and 12th of July at the Marriott Hotel in Georgetown. It is a conference of the government of Guyana through the Attorney General Chambers and Ministry of Legal Affairs, collaborating with the Caribbean Court of Justice Academy of Law. You would recall, and your audience would recall, that coming out of a recent CARICOM Heads of Government, a confabulation was held right here at the Hyatt Regency in Port of Spain, where a large number of prime ministers in the region came together to discuss crime and criminality in the region. And the consensual view was that we can't continue in the same way that we were traditionally, that the criminal justice system needs overhaul, and we must begin that introspection and that examination to correct the patent and latent deficiencies that afflict the system across the region. Yeah. The CCJ Academy of Law has been leading that initiative. Last year they had a well-attended conference in Barbados where they came up with a couple of declarations. I am hoping that in this initiative we continue that discourse. So we are bringing together the prosecutors of the region, the police forces of the region, the judges, the magistrates, the law professors, the attorneys general, of course, and even dignitaries beyond.
You know, I recall that same conference that you mentioned that happened at Hyatt with the prime ministers from the region. Prime Minister Gonzalez from St. Vincent made a statement, and it's one that I remember. He said that via the legal system in the Caribbean, delay seems to be the first line of defense.
Yes.
I don't know if you recall that statement.
Yes.
Is that a reality in the region?
It is, because we have cases in Guyana, and I could go to any country. We have cases in Guyana that involve multiple concerted public efforts at derailing our elections, which took place in March 2020. We are going to another elections next year, and we are yet to have those cases tried in the magistrate's court. Now, the government can't direct the judiciary how to conduct cases. Defense counsel has been delaying. I believe the magistrates have been complicit in granting adjournments when adjournments should not be granted. The bottom line is, and the public perception is, whether I want to accept it or not, is that the delay is unjustified and the delay is defeating criminal justice. And I give you a Guyana example, but I'm sure you can point to Trinidad as an example, and you can point to every jurisdiction in the region suffering the same problem. We simply can't continue this way.
How do you feel that in 2024, all the countries in the region, now we speak of, the solidarity coming together for trade, coming together for culture, we've been able to do that. That's happened organically. But when we look at the criminal justice system and the fact that many of the big players in the region are not subscribed, they are not part of this Caribbean Court of Justice, which is located here in Trinidad, and the irony, we are not part of it. We always still go to the Privy Council, including Jamaica. What's your take on that particular development in this 2024?
It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. When the idea was conceived and the decision was made to create the court, Trinidad offered to host, to be the host country and the seat of the court. And everyone expected that Trinidad would obviously join. I think you had a change of government shortly after that, and then it never happened. Jamaica, a big player, has not seen it fit to join. I could tell you, speaking from the experience that Guyana has had with the court, this court has been a savior to Guyana. And we have said that repeatedly. I could go back to those very cases that emanated just after our elections, when there were multiple attempts to derail the electoral process and commit fraud. It is the Caribbean Court of Justice that stepped in and ruled in accordance with law and allowed for the lawfully elected government to take office. Had it not been for that court and that intervention, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
So I want to take this opportunity, as you have afforded it to me, to reject any notion that the court is not of the quality and not of the type of independence that a court, being the highest court in the region, should possess. I don't accept that. I believe the court has demonstrated its competence, its independence, and its maturity in the decisions that it has given so far.
You know, legal reforms will always be an exercise to improve the justice system. Ultimately, that is the exercise. Where is Guyana right now on that conversation regarding extradition?
So it's no secret that Guyana is engaging and enjoying transformative changes in its economic base, financial affairs, and in every area of social and national life. That comes with it the need for changes in the legal sector, because if the changes in the legal sector are not made, then you will have a country that is moving apace with a legal system left behind, and that can't happen. You will have anarchy. So there is transformative legal reforms across every conceivable landscape in the country, in criminal justice, in civil justice, in social services, in agriculture, in energy. We have perhaps the most aggressive legislative agenda in the Caribbean. In areas of law and criminal justice is no different. So we have a law that will abolish preliminary inquiries shortly. We just passed a law that puts into place permanently plea bargaining and plea agreements. And I can go on to list the modern issues that we have changed in the law. Extradition is one of them. Traditionally, extradition, as you may know, it's a very involved and technical process, and but it is necessary to fight crime across borders. It's that law that allows you to bring persons into a country for trial from another country and to take persons to another country for trial. Historically and conventionally, you have had hiccups and procedural hurdles that frustrated extradition attempts. And countries have decided, look, this is not necessary if we want to take a position globally against criminalities, in particular now with emerging technology aiding and abetting the criminals.
So as of now, there are no arrangements to extradite anyone?
Yes, they are.
Right now in Guyana?
Yes. What we are doing now is to improve it.
To tighten it up?
To tighten up.
Okay.
To remove after several decades, you are able to identify what the hurdles are, what the procedural obstacles are. And all we are doing is trying to correct them, because cases after cases would have shown what those hurdles are. The reforms that we are doing, just let me complete this point, has already been done in Trinidad and Jamaica recently.
Fantastic. To be frank with us this morning, is there any pushback across the aisle? You know, when you bring up this in the corridors of power there in Guyana, what's the opposition there seeing to you?
Well, the bill is now in Parliament. I don't get the impression that it will not be supported.
Okay.
Everyone recognizes the close-knit relationship between the Caribbean and North America, and the relationship between criminality and those two poles. We know a lot of criminals from the Caribbean or fugitives from the Caribbean go to the U.S. and vice versa.
Yeah.
And you need a mechanism that will allow a smooth and just transition between the two areas so that you have justice, but you have a stringent and robust legal mechanism that will allow for persons who have breached the law in either jurisdictions to be brought to justice effectively.
You know, I'm very pleased this morning that you mentioned with your economic prowess now with the boost that's well known throughout the region and all the world. There are measures in place to, you know, maintain transparency, you know, anti-corruption measures to ensure that unscrupulous people or folks coming in Guyana for a quick fix will understand that it's not a free-for-all in Guyana. There's law, there's order, there's structure.
We have several pieces of legislation that we have passed recently to protect Guyanese, to protect the Guyana's economy, and to ensure transparency. So let's talk about the local content legislation. Now, Trinidad has had oil for 125 years, and it's very close to Guyana. So, and if you know the oil and gas industry, it's like, and I use the term most benignly, it's like a cartel. Wherever it moves with an entire logistics support set of companies coming with it.
An ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they come to Guyana, a virgin territory in this industry, so we have no capacity basically. And if we allow this entire barrage of organizations and companies to move into the country, we will shut out the local people completely. So what we did is to put a law in place called a local content legislation, which we consulted upon widely, to ensure that Guyanese interests are protected.
Of course.
So a company operating in the oil and gas sector now that is not Guyanese must have a 51% share capital from Guyanese, and the leadership of that company, the administrative bureaucracy of the company must consist of, I believe, 80% Guyanese in the management of the company. Yeah. And then we have a schedule of activities that must be done by Guyanese: land transport, hotels, food. These things must be provided by Guyanese. Now, the law also recognizes areas where we don't have capacity and where you will need foreign interventions. So, insurance, etc., that can come from overseas. So it's a sliding scale in the law that ensures that local labor is protected, as well as there is an accommodation when local facilities are not available for foreigners to come and supplement.
And I mean, it's only fair, you know, you must protect the interests of your people. Yes. And, you know, that's a given. But what's the conversation like when it comes to ease of doing business for those looking to come across to Guyana to set up shop?
Yeah, so that's a reform that is a work in progress. Ease of doing business. So we are transitioning the country from a manual administrative central government structure into an electronic system of government.
So moving from paper not to digital.
That's correct. Across the public sector. So in the companies areas, you can now incorporate your company online, you can do company searches online, you can have title deeds searches done online. The entire deeds and commercial registry is being digitalized. Then at level of central government, we have passed what is called a single window legislation. So if you want to do buildings, you know, it's a very tedious task to do buildings and get all the requisite plans approved. You have to get an EPA certificate, you have to get the city council plans approved, you have to get the Central Housing and Authority approving a plan, you have to get the fire service approving. So all these applications go to one single window.
Okay.
And a machinery and electronic apparatus takes it to the various agencies, and you come back to that window after a period and you collect your approval.
Yeah.
Right? If there is any hiccup of your application is rejected at any one of the agency, you are informed, and you are informed of what the objections are or what the deficiencies are, and you're afforded an opportunity to correct it.
It's what I guess our friends in the U.S. call permits. You have to get your permits.
Yes, the building permits. And all of that, and I can give you many more examples, all of that are ensuring to ensure that you have business done smoothly and easily.
So in a sense, this is the government's attempt, your attempt, AG, to modernize the legal architecture, the infrastructure, really, of Guyana.
It's a complete overhaul of the legal architecture because we have to make it conducive to the environment that is now being created in Guyana.
The changing environment.
Right? Because you have to regulate the industries. I mean, our financial sector is now enlarged with global partners operating. I mean, global giants, the oil companies and all the other logistic companies that come with it. We have huge expressions. American banks want to come. We have real estate giants operating in North America that are now registered in Guyana and operating. You have to have a regulatory framework. Remember, we are still bound by anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism obligations. Right now, that's what I'm doing in Trinidad, representing and leading Guyana's delegation at a CFATF conference at the Hyatt Regency. So you have to have international compliance. You have to have standards and mechanisms in place that make your economy compliant with international financial and regulatory standards. And you have to do that by legislation, while at the same time ensuring that you have that network that will conduce to the developmental agenda of the country.
As we look to wrap things up, AG, what do you anticipate the takeaway would be from this criminal justice reform conference that's taking place next month in Georgetown?
Well, there are many, many important themes that will be explored and interrogated. And the creme de la creme of the personnel would be there.
So we're talking judges?
We're talking judges,
AGs.
we're talking AGs, we're talking DPPs, we're talking police commissioners, we're talking professors. So you can't get a better complement of persons to improve the justice sector. And I am hoping that we will have frank discussions and we are going to make resolutions that will enhance the system across the region. I hope also that this is going to be a continuous exercise. So it's not a one-off event. We'll meet again, hopefully, by some other country, I'm hoping, will host something like this, and we can have a continuous review with a view of coming up with legislative formulas and other strategies to bring speed, bring expediency, and bring efficiency to the criminal justice system, while at the same time, we have a problem with overcrowding in our prisons.
Yeah, we do.
And we have to move our prison system from being a punitive type of institution to more rehabilitative and reformative. So that when you send the criminal out of the jails of one of the Caribbean prisons, he comes out as a better human being and not a worse one. So you have to have the type of infrastructure, training, and administrative mechanism in the prison system itself to produce that better human being. Because the truth is that the punitive system has not worked. We have tried the death penalty, it has not worked. We have tried hard labor, it has not worked. We have tried flogging, it has not worked. The experts have said to us, reform the individual, educate him, train him, make him a better animal. When he comes out back, he integrates smoothly and he doesn't have to go back in there.
Understood. On a light note, AG, before we leave, it would be remiss of me not to bring some cricket into the discussion. We got off to a winning start in Guyana over the weekend. Based on what you're seeing, based on the old momentum with this ICC Men's T20 World Cup, you think the man in maroon can go all the way? You think we could take this?
I am hoping that we can and we will, but you have some serious competition. You have India, you have Pakistan, you have Australia, you have Sri Lanka, you have England. So it's open. But, of course, we are gunning for the West Indies team, and hopefully we pull it off.
Yeah, both countries getting the semifinals, Trinidad and, of course, Guyana, with the finals being in Barbados.
Barbados.
Any closing remarks? We just have a couple of seconds, AG.
No, I just want to thank you very much for affording me the opportunity, and I want to use this platform to appeal to Trinidad and to the other countries that have not yet joined on to the Caribbean Court of Justice to do so and to appeal to my Trinidadian colleagues to attend the conference in Guyana as we continue this discourse on how we can improve the criminal justice system. Look at your crime rate. Since I've been here, I've been reading the newspapers. It's alarming. But Trinidad is not unique in that regard. We have a crime problem across the region. And that's why the conference.
Yeah. AG Nandlall, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Safe travels back to the land of many waters.
Thank you, and I hope to see you there soon.
Oh, definitely. That's my place, man. Love Guyana. Listen, we'll take a quick pause. We come back. Officer Lal steps in for the police and youth segment. And later on, we get you ready for an evangelical experience. The pastor at the Doxa Ministries will come in to give us details concerning the Next Level Conference. But up next, Police and You.